going to call the Zoning Board of Appeals for July 13th to order. The board that will be sitting tonight is member Steve Lianis, member Iolando Spinola, Fire Chief Brian Nardelli, member James Sweeney, and member Kenneth Gallagher, and myself as chair. Our zoning enforcement officer, the building superintendent, and the clerk to the zoning board is Mr. James Plouffe. Mr. Plouffe is on vacation, so filling in for him tonight is George DePina from the building department. Our recording secretary is Monica Fragazzo. I would ask anyone that has a cell phone or electronic device if you can shut it off or put it on silence so that it doesn't cause a disruption in the hearing. If you need to use the phone, I would appreciate if you go out in the hallway to use the phone for any purposes requiring your phone. Prior to the start of the hearing tonight, any petitioner has the ability to withdraw from tonight's hearing. Tonight we have one withdrawal that is on the docket, but it will not be heard tonight. And that is petition number 2269, the petitioner FSQ Development, care of Nazarella, 1063 North Main Street, Brockton, Mass, for a special permit from section 2729 for a full package liquor store selling all alcohol in a C2 zone located at 446 East Ashland Street. That case has been withdrawn and it will not be heard tonight. So prior to the start of the hearing tonight, is there anyone here that would like to withdraw before we get started?
Mr. Chairman, Attorney Nazarella, and if I may, have somewhat of a conundrum here. This is regarding 397 Court Street. I prepared an application and have had it advertised as a two-family residential structure. It is in fact two families, or a first and second floor. Hence the reason we're seeking relief to put on outdoor stairs. It's not a legal two-family. It was brought up to me recently that that may be some form of confusion regarding the notification. I didn't want to get into the hearing and have that brought up if it's confusing. Then I would withdraw it. If the board feels that, because it states two-family residential, not meaning that it's a legal two-family, obviously if it was, I wouldn't be asking for outdoor stairs. So perhaps some guidance from the chair, and I would be happy to follow the guidance.
I think to properly advertise this as to why you're here for that outside stairway, obviously it must be for the second unit on the second floor.
Correct.
If that's an illegal two-family, I think what you're going to have to do is, first of all, you're going to have to advertise it as a two-family, and you're going to have to ask relief from lot size. The lot size is too small for a two-family. So it may be best if you withdrew and cleaned it up.
Well, okay, I'll follow on that.
Yeah. I want to be helpful to you, but I don't want somebody to come along later on and say we.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think the cleanest thing to do is to clean that up.
All right, so with your permission, if I can withdraw it, I would like to withdraw it.
Okay, so based upon that, petition number 2264, the petition of Daniel P. Gill Jr., care of Nazarella, 1063 North Main Street, Brockton, Mass, for a variance from section 27.9, seeking relief from frontage setback of 12.1 feet, rear yard setback of 5.6 feet, to construct an outdoor stairs to a second floor in an R2 zone located at 397 Court Street. That case has been withdrawn and it will not be heard tonight. Are there anyone else in the room that wants to withdraw prior to the start of the hearing? If not, I will explain to everyone the procedure of the board. When the petition is called, the petitioner or whoever's going to represent the petitioner will come to the podium and give a presentation to all of the board members. Once that presentation has been completed, I will then ask the board members if they have any questions regarding the testimony that was just given. Once the board members are satisfied that they have no questions, I will then open it up for public discussion. I will ask for anyone that's in the room that wants to speak in favor of the petition to come forward, give your name to the clerk, and explain why you are in favor. Following that, I will close that portion of the hearing. I will then ask if there's anybody in the room that wants to speak in opposition. If you want to speak in opposition, come up to the podium, give your name to the secretary, and explain to the board why you're in opposition. When that has been completed, I will close that. I will then ask if there's any elected officials in the room that may want to be heard on the issue. Once that has been closed, then the public discussion portion of the hearing is closed. I will then open it up for discussion among the board members. At that point, the board will deliberate. The 5 members will have the opportunity to discuss their feelings or their ideas on the petition that has been brought forth. At some point, you'll hear a board member make a motion to grant. If that is seconded, then I will ask the clerk to call the roll. You will then get a yes or a no from all 5 board members. If the petition has 5 affirmative votes and no negative votes, the petition will be granted. If there are 4 affirmative votes and 1 negative vote, the petition will be granted. If it's a 3-2 vote or anything less than 4, it will be denied. At the end of the polling of the board members, I will announce the result of the hearing, and I will say that either the petition is denied or the petition is granted. Board members, we all set?
Ready to go.
Ready to go? All right, the first petition before us tonight is petition number 2262. The petition of Kivens Belazier and Solange Jjmk, 816 Willard Street, Quincy, Mass., to seek permission to construct a 3-family home where the family home was destroyed by fire in an R1C zone located at 582 and 584 Crescent Street. Good evening.
Good evening.
Just
Good evening,
introduce
board.
yourself to the board.
Maxime Charles, I'm here with the owner. I'm gonna be the builder. We currently wanna present before you. We have a 2.5 story building. It was burned. Actually, already demolished right now. So we propose to build, a 3-family with sprinkler, fire system. The reason being, his family is extended, so definitely will be, a great help, for them. So they have, the space, and they have, the parking, to accommodate inside parking. So I would like, for the board to really, take into consideration for this proposal.
So what specifically in zoning are you referring to? What are you looking for relief from? Do you know?
Originally, it was a 2.5 story. It wasn't a 3-family. So right now, we're gonna make it it's gonna be the same height. There's no height change, but instead of a 2.5, family, now it's gonna be a 3-family, where we're gonna have instead of two kitchen, it's gonna be 3 kitchen. So 3 family gonna be able to, one of his extended family is gonna be able to live on the 3rd floor.
Mr. Chair, if I may, how many parking spots do we have? I didn't see anything in the packet on parking, and obviously it's a busy street, so.
Yeah, on the back, we can accommodate 3 to 4 parking.
Okay.
And I think, if we want to leave landscaping, we can create, more than 4 parking, because it's pretty much, a large, parcel in the back where, we can accommodate,
Yeah, because
extra parking.
usually what this board sees is issues with parking as we, improve and build extra floors and stories and all that stuff. So parking would be something that I'd want to take a look at and expand if we can on the property, because spilling out on Crescent Street, it's one of our busiest streets, so.
The plans that you have submitted to the board are plans to renovate the fire damaged building. Correct?
Yeah, originally, yeah, it was the plan to, yeah.
When I went and visited the site, the building has been totally removed.
Yeah, because it was unsafe.
Okay, everything is gone. The house is gone, the garage, everything is gone.
Right.
So you are not remodeling what's already there. In other words, these plans that have been submitted explain what was going to happen to the fire damaged building, how it was going to be redone.
Correct.
Now there's no building there.
Yeah, there's no building. The city had asked, to remove that building because it was unsafe.
Okay.
Even trying, originally, we thought we were gonna be able to do the renovation, but, it's structural damage, so there's no other way to just try to piece everything, try to put it, back as new. So the best cost-effective way is just to, demolish that and then build, and much safer, and then with, different, parking requirements.
Okay, so you realize that this parcel that you want to build on is in a single-family residential zone. That 2.5-story house was there prior to zoning, and it was grandfathered in on that location. Now that the building has been removed, there is no grandfathering for that anymore. It's now an R1C zone. So what you need to be asking for from this board is permission to put a multifamily house in an R1C zone. You've got to show us site plans of where this building is going to be located on the plot. You're going to have to ask relief from front yard setback, side yard setback. If you want to put a garage, you're going to have to ask for a setback for the garage. You're going to have to show parking. The plans that you have shown us have nothing to do with what you're proposing before this board tonight.
Okay.
So I guess my suggestion is that you're going to have to develop some plans that actually show what you want to do on this piece of property.
Yeah, there's a plot plan. There is a plot plan on the plan that I submitted.
Speak into the mic, we can't hear you.
There is a plot plan that I submitted on the application. If you look at the whole package, the plot plan is in there. Tells you exactly where the house will be and how many parking space we will have in car garage for the whole land.
As Mr. Sweeney stated earlier, it doesn't include anything about the parking. So we have no idea what's going to happen with the parking.
So the proposed location of what's on this plan, your side yard setback is only 7 feet. You need 15 feet. So you're going to have to, if you're going to reduce the 15 feet, you're going to have to come before this board and ask for relief from side yard setback. So,
The plan has 7 feet right now, so we need 15.
yeah. All right. Board members, anything? Everybody good?
I guess we're good.
Okay, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor? Seeing none, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in opposition? Yes, please come forward. Please give your name and address to the clerk.
My name is Hazel Burt. Address is 588 Crescent Street.
Where are you located in relation to this house?
Right next door to where the house was.
Looking at this location, you're to the left or the right?
To the right.
Right, okay, very good, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, the house, if, I'm against it because if it's a three-family, my house was already so close to that house. And when that house caught on fire, it was just like a matter, I'm so thankful that it didn't catch on to my house. I don't think it's enough land for them to make that into a three-family dwelling. So, I mean, it's just not enough room. I'm in a single family, right next door to it. So if they put it back like it was, then that's fine, but trying to put more onto it, I don't see it.
Okay, very good, thank you. Is that it? Is there anything else?
And there may be, even if it's decided that there's enough land on the property, the thing is that, again, like she said, they live right next door, and they had to get out their house at 2 o'clock in the morning. So when you're adding more material to the house and everything, there's more opportunity. I mean, hopefully, they never have a fire again. Anyone never has a fire again. But if they do, then it puts first responders, it puts neighbors and everything in lives in jeopardy. If you're saying that this is, and I didn't hear it clearly because it was kind of a little low, but I heard something about it's in a one-family zone, which we thought it was, we heard it was a two-family zone. And if it's in a one-family zone and now he wants it to be a three-family zone, I heard you say something was grandfathered, but I didn't quite catch what you were saying about what was grandfathered.
That house was probably built on that lot before the current zoning went into effect.
Okay,
Whatever was there was allowed to remain there.
okay.
That's what I was referring.
So now is it a two-family zoning or is it one family right now?
No, it's still a
I mean, because there's no other.
R1C, single family.
Yeah, there's no other three families in the neighborhood. And the bad thing about it is like, what, a year or 2 years ago, the house directly across the street from both of them caught on fire, and they had to tear that whole house down. And maybe like a year before that, maybe 2 houses or 3 houses up Pine Street caught on fire. So they've already had enough fires. You're talking about health issues. You're talking about people who are getting older in age that they don't want to worry about their house burning down, whether it be for an accident or whatever. I mean, I'm not sure what the causes was for the fire. I don't know if we're privy to that or what, but whatever the case is, prevention is what we're looking for. And we're not holding anything against him that, he wants to do it for whatever purposes, his reason is money or family or whatever the case may be, but we have to look out for ourselves.
Very good, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Is there anyone else that wants to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there any elected official that wants to be heard on the issue? Seeing none, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. That concludes the public discussion portion of the hearing. I'll now open it up for discussion among board members. Board members.
I don't think we have enough information to determine a grant in this situation. I don't know how the other board members feel, but we just don't have it.
No parking, that's a big issue. We have nothing to show how many parking. They talked about 4 as a 3-family. They need obviously way more than that, and up to 6 at least with visitors. I'm concerned about that, especially with Crescent Street, and there's houses on either side, so.
The volume coming out of there onto one of our busiest streets.
I can't hear you, Jim. I'm sorry.
Sorry, the amount of traffic coming from a 3-family on one of our busiest roads also without a clear plan was something we can't determine right now with nothing in front of us really.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think these plans work, and they should be looking for relief for the setbacks. And yeah, I'm not too sure what their hardship was for this also.
Yeah, I was going to mention the same thing. I didn't hear a hardship, and they would need to update the plans and come in front of us again if they want to move forward with anything that is aligned with what they were saying.
I think the only hardship I heard was the fact that the house was destroyed by fire, which they had no control over, obviously. But the lot is way undersized for a 3-family house. So actually what they should be requesting here is a variance on lot size, density, side yard setback. There's a whole series of things here that need to be considered. And unfortunately, the plans that were submitted were reconstruction plans for the house that has been torn down. So.
Make a motion to grant.
Second.
All right, a motion has been made and seconded to grant. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Lanus,
No,
Mr. Spinola,
No.
Mr. Sweeney,
No.
Chief Nardelli?
No.
Chair Galligan?
No.
Chair, that is 5 in the negative, 0 in the affirmative.
Okay, the vote is no, none in the affirmative, 5 in the negative. The petition is denied. The next petition is 2263, the petition of Kathleen Petty, 516 Belmont Street, Brockton, Mass., for permission to expand from beer and wine to include liquor in a C1 zone located at 216 Belmont Street. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Mark Petty. I'm here to represent Petty's Market, which is a store that's been right up the street for about over 100 years now. We have a petition for a special permit to bring to the License Commission to expand the store from a beer and wine license and deli and general grocery store to include the much requested product of liquor. We've submitted the application, submitted the paperwork, and are open to the suggestions of the board, but are just requesting a special permit at this time.
You received correspondence from the building inspector indicating that you did not need a certified site plan because the store already exists in its location.
Yes, we received the email correspondence from the building, yes.
Mr. Chair, if I could, how long have you been a beer and wine at this point, right?
Beer and wine since, I think, the late 60s.
Late 60s? Okay.
I don't know the exact date,
Okay.
but since I was a small,
Selling alcohol for quite a while.
quite a while.
Have you had any violations on the beer and wine situation?
There are no violations that I'm aware of in the several decades we've been doing this. The store, like as I said, the store's been there for over 100 years, been serving the community responsibly, happily, and supporting not only the neighborhood, but many people in the neighborhood. We've had requests from the public really for quite some time, and it's just something that we haven't decided to go forward with in many years, but although it's been requested, we just thought it was time. Some licenses have become available, and the fact that we've been in there for so long, and hopefully have been so reliable to the city and its community, that it just seems to be the natural expansion of things.
You need to realize that the reason that you're before the zoning board tonight is for a special permit, and our responsibility is to determine if this is a suitable location for what you're requesting. If this is granted by the zoning board, your next step is the license commission.
Yes, sir.
So it could be a situation where you're granted permission to move forward by the zoning board, but the license commission may look differently on it.
That is exactly correct, Mr. Chairman. We're here tonight just to get the special permit so we can take the next step to see what the License Commission thinks about it.
Very good. Board members, any questions?
I guess I have a question around, specifically around like your waste management strategy. We do have a problem in Brockton with a lot of waste that's created because of liquor. Do you have any insights in regards to that? Do you have a plan or ideas in regards to it?
Well, like every other responsible commercial business in the city, we have a waste contract, and they pick up everything and anything that we've ever needed. We deal with quite a bit of cardboard as it is with groceries. If there is another product in any particular box that arrives, so to be disposed of, we've never had a problem with any waste.
Are you hoping
We happen to own the properties all around there too. If there was an issue with space, we would always have an option.
Are you hoping to sell nips as a liquor item?
I think nips is a pretty common item. I haven't gone into any of the specifics, but I would expect that just like any other product available in any particular size would be available.
I don't think we can control the sale of
No, I'm
nips.
just asking questions.
Right, it's nothing that I've talked about, but I wouldn't see any reason why we would or wouldn't. Just the same way we'd size different size subs, right?
As far as waste is concerned, my experience with that area is there is a family member that keeps that place absolutely immaculate in the whole neighborhood, so, okay. All right, any other questions from board members? Everybody's good? I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor? Seeing none, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there any elected official that wants to be heard on the issue? Seeing none, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. That completes the public discussion. I am now going to open it up for deliberation by the board members.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, I think, you know, the Petty family has been a staple in running that operation for over 100 years, as the council said. And I think one of the things you could definitely say about going in there to get a sandwich or in that entire neighborhood is you could probably eat off the sidewalks, to your point. Yeah. And I think, I don't know if I'd try it, but you know where I'm going with that. But they've run an upstanding operation, always greet you with a smile. They're responsible in what they do. They're not a place you walk into and there's stuff all over the floor and packed and everything has its place. I believe, in my opinion, that this would be a top-notch operation like we've seen in other ones we've passed like this, and I think it's in a good location where they have good foot traffic, which is nice. That place causes, obviously, there's a little bit of traffic, but they stop out front, grab their sandwich, grab whatever they're gonna do and go, but a lot of foot traffic, which is nice to see in that area, too.
I would agree with that. Yeah, and also say with no violations, there's no reason not to reward such businesses with, you know, an open, even more open operation, so.
I agree, and like you said, it's been 50 years with no violations, so I don't see a problem with this.
Chair would entertain a motion.
Motion to grant. Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to grant. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Lannis,
Yes,
Mr. Spinola,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Chief Nardelli,
Yes.
Chairman Gallagher.
Yes.
Chairman, that's 5 in the affirmative, none in the negative.
The vote is 5 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The petition is granted.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to just mention to the chief, Mr. Chairman, and the rest of the board that I'll relay the comments about the cleanliness of the sidewalk to Councilor Petty, retired. Thank you very much.
Good luck.
All right, the next petition is 2264 for 397 Court Street, which has been withdrawn. The next petition is 2265, the petition of Montello Package LLC, 281 Pleasant Street, Brockton, Mass., for a special permit from Section 2737 to operate a full alcohol package store in a C2 zone located at 1115 North Montello Street.
Good evening, members of the board, Mr. Secretary and Mr. Chairman. Attorney John McCluskey, representing Ricky De Silva, who is the petitioner tonight. Scott Ferry is with us from Jjnmk Holmgren Engineering. We're seeking a special permit to operate an all-alcohol beverage license at 1115 North Montello Street in Brockton, which is probably located about 100 yards from the border of Avon, so it's really quite a bit out of town. In that area, there are no other alcohol licenses, all alcohol beverage licenses. Mr. De Silva engaged me shortly after, or a bit after he had filed the application. And when he did that, the first thing I did was to look at the plan that he submitted, and I had some comments and some changes that I suggested that he make. Those changes are actually shown on this plan. This plan that you're seeing before you has not been submitted. So my request is that and by the way, the plan, I think, makes some drastic improvements on the situation that, as you all know, I always anticipate questions from the chair, so, and comments. So that.
Green space is the one we're worried about, and it looks like you've covered that.
I'm sorry?
Looks like you've covered the green space.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I actually, with the chair's permission, I have a new plan. This plan, which I would like to formally submit, I emailed it to the board 3 weeks ago or so, and was rightfully told by Christine that I could not do that at that point because the deadline had passed for the filing. So I do have a new plan that I'd like to submit to the board this evening. Could I have the chair's permission to do that?
Right, so the plan that you're proposing to submit is the one that we see on the easel?
Yes.
It looks very similar to the plan that we have.
It's a little different.
Just a little different. It's not substantially different. I'll allow you to present that, and he will give those out. But I think what I see, it is pretty much, it's very similar to what we have.
Yeah, so the plan, I don't know what I did with it, but I probably have it on my email. The plan that was submitted, there were two things that I was concerned about. One was the green space in the front of the building, and it could be that we could even improve on that a little bit. So we added some green space here, I think increased the green space here, and in the back. I don't think we lost any parking spaces, did we, Scott? We did not. And the other thing that I noticed in the original plan was that the existing sign was pretty close to the street. And so this plan shows the sign to be moved outside of the setback at least 10 feet. So, you're probably all familiar with this property, but this is pretty much what it looks like today. It's a vacant building, a lot of garbage trucks and things, or refuse trucks parked in the out front. Again, this is sort of a gateway to the city of Brockton, and you come in and.
Interrupt for 1 second. Does the council want to come up and see this? Yeah.
I'm sure she's seen it before.
I just want to give you the opportunity to see it. Come right over here, Councilor, and you can see that. Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So in any event, thank you, Councilor. The existing conditions are somewhat deplorable and eyesore coming into the city. And Mr. De Silva, do we have an elevation of the outside of the building? The proposed new building? Okay. In any event, Mr. De Silva's been before you before, and he's a contractor in the city of Brockton, does really nice work. I do have a set of photos back there. I don't think we need to show you those, but he's taken deplorable properties, reconditioned them, made them nice, made them look good, and I think he's an asset to the city as far as doing the things that he does. He's sort of a new guy in town, maybe only 5 or 6, 7 years or so, maybe more. 10 anyway. Yeah, he likes to think he has more experience than he does. But in any event, he does great work, and I'm very happy and proud to have Ricky as a client, by the way. So the plan is to put in a all alcohol beverage license package store here, and in accordance with the new plans, and as I say, we could improve on those if the board felt that was appropriate to do, but at least we have a planting strip on the front, a lot more greenery. And the interior layout of the building, do we show that? So you come into the front right here. The checkout is here. Ricky shows a display area here. I talked to him about that. That's only going to be about 3 feet high so that there would be total visual from the street. This is more of a licensing argument, I suppose. But in any event, this is the interior, and he's got his coolers back here. He plans a total renovation of the building. And quite frankly, I think under the C2 zone, which allows by special permit, sort of backtracks into the C1. So it says essentially any special permit allowed in the C1 zone is allowed in the C2 zone. And in the C1 zone, you're allowed to have a package store by special permit. So in this area, there's no other package stores in the area. It's pretty much on the outskirts of town. I think it would be beneficial to the town, to the city, and certainly not more detrimental, and would enhance the ability of people to access this type of service. So with all due respect, I would request a special permit for this operation, knowing full well that we have to next go to the License Commission and seek their approval.
Very good. Board members, any questions?
Mr. McCluskey, is this something that is going to see, the planning board's going to see? I'm sorry? Is the planning board going to see this as, with this new construction and what he plans on doing?
It doesn't meet the site plan.
Okay.
Requirements, no additional paving,
Gotcha.
interior changes.
Mostly existing?
Exactly. It's just basically dressing it up and actually adding green space, so it doesn't hit any of the planning board
Okay.
requirements.
Okay.
I would say that existing container up in the right-hand corner in the rear is going to be removed, correct? That's just there now? Yeah. Yeah, got it.
Do you have any experience with liquor stores?
So, personally, I don't have experience owning a liquor store, but I did bartend for over 6.5 years. I used to bartend at a restaurant, I used to bartend at the airport, and I used to also bartend inside the clubhouses at Patriot Gillette Stadium for over 6 years. That was mostly the run of it. I dealt a lot with the vendors, I dealt a lot with stocking, alcohol, transactions, tip certification, serving alcohol to customers. So I do have a lot of alcohol experience. As a matter of fact, I did that right before I got into even the early stages of development.
Okay.
I think you'll find that this gentleman is a good asset to the city. He's a real good businessman and he's an asset.
I also have a relative who.
Could you speak into the microphone just for the benefit of people? Yep.
I also have a relative who took over a liquor store, so they'll be mentoring me throughout the process of a liquor store in Boston.
Okay, thank you.
Assuming this gets passed, when are you looking to get this all going?
I guess the next step would be licensing. The next step would be licensing, so if it was granted through licensing, at the earliest that I could possibly get going, I would get going on it.
Okay.
And he'll do all the rehab work himself.
Okay.
So if this is not going to go before planning, I guess the last gasp for green space is with us at zoning. And the reason I allowed you to submit this plan is this plan doesn't deviate much at all from the plan that was submitted to us tonight.
Well,
however, it's an improvement on the green space on the front of the building. When I went up and looked at this, the whole front of that property up there is pretty much wide open as far as driving in and out of that property. So by creating this green space that you are proposing, at least now the access to this property is going to be from one location. I think that's a huge improvement.
Creating one driveway, basically.
Correct. I would caution you, though, on this landscaping that you're going to do out front, just realize that salt that's spread by the state, because that's a state road up there that can raise havoc with things, so keep that in mind as you're doing green space. The sign will be at least 10 feet back, so there's no request for sign setback. There is no request here for any LED-type signs. It can be LED lit, but it cannot be an LED signboard, and I would expect that you're not asking for that. Yeah, and we're not considering that. To me, it looks like it's going to be a big improvement over what's up there right now. All right, board members, any other comments? Everybody's good? I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone that here who wants to speak in favor? Seeing none, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there any elected official that wants to be heard on the issue? Councilor.
Thank you, Shirley.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, Shirley Azak, Ward 7 City Councilor. And Mr. De Silva contacted me, and I looked at these plans, and I have to tell you, I was happy to see something nice going up on North Montello Street. I'm not going to repeat what Attorney McCluskey mentioned or retired Chief Galligan, but this is a rundown building, and I'm happy to see that somebody wants to invest in it and really beautify it. And if you notice, a lot of the businesses in that area on North Montello Street are kind of, the auto dealerships are all kind of looking, they're taking care of their properties. I have the gas station that just revamped down there, so I think this would be a nice asset to the entrance to Brockton on North Montello Street. And Mr. De Silva's history of, renovating and beautifying properties, it speaks for itself. So I hope you vote in favor of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. Is there anyone else that wants to be heard? If not, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. That concludes the public discussion. I'm now going to open up for deliberations among the board members.
I think it's a good project. I think it absolutely needs help on that section of the city. And what it is and what it's going to be is a drastic difference that the city needs on that side.
I couldn't agree more. I think just the last couple of nights, we've seen projects that are going into where people are entering the city. And to see that plot of land now and versus what I see on these plans does a great deal for that strip of the road right there. So I think it's a good project. I think hopefully, I think good business brings in more good business. So hopefully that will just bring in and shower the area, so.
I agree. It's definitely going to be an improvement with that building. So, yeah, I wish them all the luck, and I'm in favor for this.
Yeah, I'm also in favor. I like that you all added the additional green space, especially at the entrance of the city. I think it helps to beautify things and shows that like you can have a liquor store and also, make a positive impact in the city and be environmentally conscious, which is great. And I love the dumpster and how you're thinking about waste management too when it comes to your property. So thank you for that.
I know a big issue we deal with like the nips and the bottles and stuff. There's actually Star Redemption Center right across the street that takes bottles and anything plastic, glass. So I'm sure if I don't pick it up, they'll probably pick it up before I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to approve?
Second.
On the motion, I am going to put a stipulation on this, if it is approved, that it will be constructed in conformance with the plans dated 6/27/22, which is the plans that were submitted tonight, which kind of cleans up the green space. All right, motion's been made and seconded to grant. Will the clerk please call a roll?
Mr. Leanis.
Yes.
Mr. Spinola.
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney.
Yes.
Chief Nardelli.
Yes.
Chair Galligan.
Yes.
Chair, that's 5 in the affirmative, none in the negative.
Vote is 5 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The petition is granted.
Thank you, members.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
The next petition is 2266, the petition of Charles Macy, manager, 14 Stoney Road, West Bridgewater, Mass., for a variance from section 27.9 to be allowed to construct and sell 10 single-family homes having a frontage of less than 175 feet in an R1 zone located at Plot 188 off Westbury Road.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Zoning Board of Appeals. My name is Jjnmk. I'm attorney at law with offices at 48 North Pearl Street, and I have the pleasure of representing Charlie Macy. Some of the members of the board will recognize this as something that came before the board on a prior occasion, seeking the same request to be allowed to have single-family homes that had reduced frontage. At the time, the Zoning Board of Appeals had offered a number of insightful suggestions, one of which included the possibility of reducing one lot from the plan that we had prepared and expanding the frontage on the southerly side of the subdivision. We're here before you today seeking a request for relief for the 17 lots, 7 of which are conforming and 10 of which will require reduced frontage that Evan Watson will be able to identify for you, who is the architect for the project. What? Engineer for the project. The issue that's before the board in terms of the variance, I think we covered in some detail in the last time that we were before the zoning board, but I will repeat because it's a new hearing. In fact, this is an area that's totally covered with the ledge that affects the development of the property, creates a hardship under the statute, which identifies if there is a conditions that relate to the soil or the property that's unique to the property and not the zoning as a whole that creates a hardship, financial or otherwise, it gives you the opportunity for relief from a variance. Mr. Macy just got through finishing Cypress, which is right next door. And Cypress was just loaded with ledge. It required blasting on 5 different occasions. And I know that Evan did some testing on this particular site and confirmed there's no question the existence of ledge, which I think goes to the issue of the hardship that this board can approve. So we would like the board's request to consider approving the reduced number of lots that now come before you at 17. Evan will show you in a second as they're laid out. He made some other changes to the plan that I think are favorable to the subdivision, including the detention basin on a single lot and removing some of the odd shape sizes of the individual lots. Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Evan Watson, W Engineering. As Attorney Burke mentioned, we did took your considerations under advisement, and we reduced our lots from 18 to 17 with the goal of increasing the width on the southern side of the project for these lots. And when I started laying that out, this lot here on the corner, if you recall, we have a detention basin that takes all the drainage from the site, and that is in an easement which encumbered 2 lots. It now is only on 1 lot. We've also been able to increase the width on the southern side to about 159 feet, 151 feet, 150 feet, where our previous proposal showed 125 feet. So we've given ourselves a lot more elbow room throughout the project and definitely made the detention basin lot much nicer. On this plan, I've indicated with the blue blaze where we have conforming lots. And so, as Jim said, we have 7. So this here on the cul-de-sac, the 2 on the corner, and then these 3 on the stretch and 1 behind Westbury Road. So all in all, I think I recall we had some positive feedback from the board, minus some of the concerns with adding some width on the south side. And I believe this plan achieves that goal.
That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. Board members, any questions?
If I could, Mr. Chairman, that drainage easement, that will be fully fenced and protected from children in the neighborhood or any of that?
There'd be a fence on the detention basin itself, not necessarily the entire easement, but along the detention basin itself.
But around where that anywhere that there could be a danger to children with water retained in there?
Yes. Yeah, that was addressed with the planning board, I believe from your office, and we have the details which show the detail of the detention basin.
Thank you.
I feel like I've seen this about 6 times, so I don't have very many questions.
I'll just make a comment that the last time I looked at this, knowing the topography up there, my concern was with the reduced frontage on those lots on the left side, it would appear to me that the topography between the houses was going to be quite excessive, and with the short distance between the homes, it was going to be quite difficult to try to do that topography. The other comment that I had that night was how, with a reduced lot size under those conditions, it was going to be very difficult to get the house to be constructed within the build-out. Now, on the build-out that you have here, in this zone, you have to have a total of 50 feet of side yard setback, 20 on one side, 30 on the other. You're aware of that?
Yeah, it's a minimum of 20 on one side, a total of 50 from both sides,
Right.
yeah.
All right. So I think the night of the hearing, I asked you about that, and it appeared as though the side yards were drawn at about 25 equally?
Well, it's not wrong. The requirement is a minimum of 20, a total of 50. So here I'm showing 25 on both sides for a total of 50. So the setbacks exceed the minimum shown, required by zoning on the plan. So, and we have the ability, when we go for the building permit, to choose which side we have 20 and 30 on at that time. So for planning purposes, at this time, I showed both at 25 equally. And it wouldn't have an effect on the width of that house, because I have a total of 50-foot setback on all the lots. So whether it's over to one side by 5 feet or the other side by 5 feet, we decide that during the time of the design.
I just want to make sure we understand that you're not asking for relief from side yard setback on any of these.
That's correct.
It's going to be 50 feet, but within that, as you just explained.
That's correct.
I think this is a much better plan than the one that we saw earlier.
Thank you.
Board members, any other comments? Everybody good? I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor? Seeing none, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there any elected official who wants to be heard on the issue? Seeing none, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. That concludes the public discussion portion of the hearing. I'm now going to open it up for discussion among the board members.
I think we fine-tuned this project. We've got some more frontage on these lots. It's been kicked around, kicked back, and back before us, so I think it's ready to rock.
Motion to grant?
Second.
You guys are much too fast for me. Still got to go back before planning on all this? Yeah. Still one more step involved there.
Yeah, we would have to either modify the Form C subdivision or come in with Form A plans to adjust the lot lines.
Okay, good. All right, so there's been a motion made and seconded to grant. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Leanis.
Yes.
Mr. Spinola.
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney.
Yes.
Chief Nardelli.
Yes.
Chairman Galligan.
Yes.
Chairman, that's 5 in the affirmative, none in the negative.
5 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The petition is granted.
Thank the board for its time.
Good luck. The next petition is 2267, the petition of Jjnmk Realty LLC, care of Nazarella, 1063 North Main Street, Brockton, Mass., for a special permit and variance from section 2732 to allow the sale of all alcohol in a C5 zone located at 516 Pleasant Street.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good evening. Attorney Philip Nazarella representing the applicant, Jjnmk Realty. With me this evening is Kenny Patel, the the owner of the business and the principal of the LLC. Mr. Patel has been in the alcohol business, liquor stores for approximately close to 30 years. The location that we are discussing this evening has been a long-standing location for commercial use on the corner of Wheeler Avenue and Pleasant Street, 516 Pleasant Street. I believe years ago it was a gas station. It's always been of a commercial nature. From that point towards the intersection of West and Pleasant Street is dotted with commercial enterprises throughout. For the last perhaps 10 years, 8 years, there has been a convenience store there with a approved beer and wine license, which has been operating without incident. Due to the customer demand in the last several years, Mr. Patel has decided to move forward with the request for all alcohol. The plan in front of you is similar to that which we presented before the zoning board some time ago for permission to include a proposed addition of around 3,105 square feet. The lot is approximately a little in excess of 27,000 square feet. We had been before the planning board for preliminary site plan review, which had been approved, and we are due to go back for another visit to the planning board to shore up and finalize such topics as drainage and, more important, as equally important, is the green space. That had been an issue that was raised by the zoning board some time ago, how the shrubs look in the front, where's the green space, and how we would address that. So we will be seeking the approval and suggestions and input from the planning board on our return visit. With that stated, members of the board, we would ask this board to grant permission and grant the approval of the application. And we're also aware that the approval is simply a step in a long process where we have to also return to the License Commission for approval on their end, as well as the ABCC for the grant of the full alcohol license. I'd be happy to entertain any questions you may have regarding this enterprise or the future plans that we have.
I guess I'd start off my questioning with basically a lot of the same what we asked one of the last partitioners. Any infractions on the license of the beer and wine at this point?
Any violations you ever had?
Violations?
No
Okay.
violations. This is not his first store. He has a couple down the Cape. He has run all without incident as well, so I was assuming that the same applied in Brockton.
Okay, thank you.
How long has he had the beer and wine license?
It's been about 2016, 6 years.
So the last time you were here was a variance to allow this proposed addition.
That is correct.
All right, so now you are in a C5 district, and you're asking for an all-alcoholic. So you are requesting a variance.
That is correct, and that.
Explain the variance portion of this.
Well, the variance portion is that, in some respects, it's a pre-existing use. It's always been of a commercial nature. And there was discussion within my group as to whether or not we should seek the variance, but I thought perhaps being conservative would be in the better interest. It's a pre-existing use. It's always been of a commercial nature, and we're seeking to extend the commercial nature in order to be competitive with the other businesses as we see each zoning board meeting that are the applicants that come before the board seeking similar nature. To allow a person to be constrained with beer and wine when everybody else is moving towards, or a great majority is moving towards all alcohol, is difficult. So it's difficult, equally difficult to present to the board reasons for a variance based upon the geographical nature of the property as opposed to the mixed zoning that we have throughout the city. It becomes very competitive, unfair, unequal when we're spot zoning everything and then expected to say, what is the hardship on the land? Very few that come before the board have a true hardship on the land. So now we're talking about the nature of the business in relation to the geographical area that they're in as opposed to simply the land. And couple that with the fact that it's always been a business use and it pre-exists zoning, that should lend itself towards granting this particular application. The opposite would be a hardship in restraining them from developing a business that's always been a business use. This is not something that has been residentially used and now we're seeking to use it as business. It's always been commercially used, and we're seeking to expand that commercial use within the borders of what we already have. So I don't see it as a great leap in order to acquire the grant of the application, because we're somewhat consistent with what we've already been doing.
Okay, the reason I asked the question is obviously this is not allowed in a C5, and I think your explanation explains what the request is, the reason for the request for the variance. So we need to discuss that.
Thank you.
Special permit is to determine whether or not we feel as though it's an appropriate location to do this, and if there's already a beer and wine operation that has been successful with no violations, that's certainly in your favor. So, all right, board members, any other questions? We good? I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor? Seeing none, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there any elected official here that wants to be heard on the issue? Seeing none, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. That concludes the public discussion on the request. Board members, discussion.
I think it's very similar to the Petty's Market. We are handcuffing these businesses, especially on, again, Pleasant is one of our busiest streets, and I think with no violations, nothing negative in that aspect. There's probably no reason why the zone can't support that usage.
I would agree.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think it's a good location for a liquor store. I don't think there's anything in that area that should get up to the mall. And like you said, there's no violations, past 6 years, so I think it's a good project.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a pattern here, and I think we definitely have something that, you know, I think, like, yeah, we should be addressing this, and I think we need to be consistent across the line. So, yeah, to be consistent, I think we should definitely support this.
Motion to grant.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded to grant. Well, there are no stipulations on this. However, I'm going to take the opportunity to ask a question that I missed with the permission of the board. I think when you were here last time and you received permission to put the addition on, you were going to close the driveway to Wheeler Avenue. That's still in the plans.
Yes, it is.
And the green space that we see across the front of the building, which was the issue last time, is going to be addressed.
Yes, as I stated, I'm sure Mr. Sweeney, as a member of the planning board, will keep that in mind, and we'll remind him that we were very clear about doing that. We intend to do that.
Very good, thank you. All right, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Leanis.
Yes.
Mr. Spinola.
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney.
Yes.
Chief Nardelli.
Yes.
Chair Kelly.
Yes.
Chair, that's 5 in the affirmative, none in the negative.
Vote is 5 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The petition is granted.
Thank you for your time.
Good luck.
Good luck.
The next petition, 2268, the petition of Nilso de Canto, 486 South Street, Holbrook, Mass., for permission to change a legal 3-family into a 4-family in a C2 zone located at 920 Crescent Street.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board. My name is Sean Smith. I'm a construction supervisor for Mr. Del Canto. He's the homeowner. What we're seeking relief from, it's an existing 3-family, and we're trying to renovate the basement and make it change the occupancy into a 4-family. And Mr. Del Canto did a full gut rehab in 2019, and new electrical, new plumbing, has, the building's fully sprinkled. And what happened was, in February of this year, a car ran into the side of his building. And, you know, because he had to fix it up, so he decided to try to go ahead and, change the occupancy to put another unit down in the basement so that he can, for his expanded family.
I didn't catch all, the car ran into the building, and what happened?
The car ran into the side of the building and knocked the porches down there.
Took the porch down.
And the bulkhead on the side.
Can you state where your hardship is?
My mom is getting old, and then I do have some extended family coming from back home, so they do gonna need a place to live, to stay, so we like to keep them with us.
So
Do you
just
know
on-
what, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, that's all right.
Do you know what section of the ordinances you're looking for relief from?
It was parking, I believe.
Okay, there's several here, okay. So if you're requesting a variance, or for instance, for a three-family house, you're gonna need over 12,000 square feet of lot area to put a three-family in, and you're asking for a four-family? So you only have 6,500 square feet, so you need relief from lot size?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're not asking for that, but I'm just telling you that your lot is way too small for what you want to do. So even though you're asking for permission to make it into a four-family, there is sections of the ordinance that you got to be specifically asking for relief from. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
If I could, Mr. Chair. So I just want to be perfectly clear. What you're looking to do for that fourth unit is put it in the basement of this house. You're not looking to add height
No, no, sir.
in the basement,
Yes,
below grade.
yes.
Who will be residing in that location?
My mom and cousins coming from back home. Visa is already approved, so, you know, they're definitely gonna need a place to stay.
Okay.
Okay, just want to caution the board that when we're looking at a variance here, even though the petitioner is telling us the hardship, which we really haven't heard much about, if it's for family members, at some point, if all of those family members leave that location, it can still remain a four-family house with four unrelated families living in that house. So just keep that in mind, that it may be right now for family, but 5 years from now, all of this can change.
I am gonna be living at the property as well, sir.
Okay. Just talking about how the variance goes with the land.
Thank you, thank you.
So a question that I have that hasn't been brought out here, if you're going to put an apartment in the cellar, the plans look like they have some new cellar windows that are going to be constructed on the west side of that building. So the left side of the building as you look at it from Crescent Street. The dimensions that I have here is 3.2 feet. I think I read in the plans that the window wells are going to be wider than 3.2 feet. So if those window wells are going to be placed in conformance with the state building code, I don't know how you're going to get window wells in an area that's only got 3.2 feet.
We think that might be an error. We believe
Okay.
that might be an error. That would have to be corrected, but we think that's.
So basically, those window wells will be right up against that fence, and I don't know how anybody could walk down the side of that house without falling down into a window well. And you can't cover the window well with a grate or anything, because it's going to be an access for, okay.
The reason for putting the window wells, because 3 of those windows are actually existing. We had only proposed to do 1 new window there. That's why that we had proposed to put the window wells there, because the windows were.
So the windows that are there now are not in conformance with the building code. You're going to make bigger windows.
The size of the window is. The size of the window is 2.8 by 2'8" by 5.
So those windows are already into the foundation?
There were already windows there, yes. There's only one that he proposed to put, there's only one new one he proposed to put, and that's in bedroom 2.
Is the window that's there now, is that open and accessible to the side of that house, between the house and the fence?
It's open and accessible to it, but there's no window well there.
There's no window well?
No window well there, no.
That answers my question.
If I could, what's the height from the floor of the basement to that window?
It's 2 feet.
From the basement floor up to that window
To the bottom of the window, yes.
is 2 feet?
From outside? Outside?
Oh, if I'm standing in the basement, where is that window in comparison? If I was to take a tape measure from the basement floor up to the base of the window,
It's 2 feet.
so you're telling me when I'm standing in the basement, the window is down here?
No. It's way high.
Okay, that's what,
Yep.
that's the question I'm asking.
It's almost 7 feet.
Okay.
So about
Thank
7
you.
feet. Yeah.
To the bottom of the window?
So, yeah. Yeah. 6, 7.
So then that's not the size of the window?
No, that's not it. That's a mistake. It's an error.
On your parking plan, it shows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vehicles that will be accessing Hall Street, either backing out or whatever, backing into from Hall Street. What happens to all the green space that used to be here? It's all gone?
No, it's not. We do have some green space towards the back and in front of the property as well on Crescent Street and Hall Street. And in front of the house as well on Crescent Street. The main entrance.
Back to the chief's question about the window. If your mother had to climb out the window, how high would she have to reach the bottom of the window?
Well, it's going to be constructed to the state code, to the town code, whatever the code is. The height, it's,
Right, that's what he's asking.
yeah, it's
It's
42.
a minimum 42.
42. The window open has to be 42 inches. That's what the
Not to-
minimum height.
I think to clear up Mr. Lannis's question, his question is how high up is that window, like I was gonna say? If your mother has to climb out of that basement window at 3 a.m. because there is a fire in that building and she's trapped in a room, and I
No,
don't
it's
know how.
not. It's not 7 feet. It's probably maybe 5 feet to the bottom of the window.
Okay.
Window opening, or less.
He's asking the sill, the bottom of the sill to the floor. He wants to know what that height is.
42.
42 now?
42 inches.
So that's what you have to let him know that it's 42.
42 inches.
That's what he's asking.
Board members, any other questions?
Can you, I guess the visualization, the diagram that we have here doesn't clearly show, this is just a walkout basement?
Yes, it's already a walkout basement. With
So
the
both
entrance-
entrances are gonna be walkout, or how is it gonna?
Yes, we already have an existing entrance on a Hall Street. And then we gotta, by code, we gotta create another second exit,
I'm near the front of the building.
right, yeah, near the front of the building.
The one in the back was also hit. When the car hit the building, it hit it like in the back. It took off the rear porches and it hit the bulkhead that was over the staircase that was there. So all that had to be rebuilt. And so they're proposing to put another staircase up near the front of the building, right here on the right-hand side.
The way it looks on the plan, it looks as though you have to climb up out of the basement on the
is
Hall
stairs
Street
there.
side.
There's stairs there.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's this.
About 4 steps, about 4 steps.
So it's proposed to have 4 bedrooms in the basement?
Yes, sir.
4 bedrooms. How much construction has been done in the basement, or any?
Just to repair where the car hit.
Yeah.
So there's no walls or anything up there right now?
No.
The only thing that's been repaired is the wall
Where the car struck.
hit, where in the, where the
stairs.
stairs that hit under the bulkhead.
So you have constructed a new door to the basement on the Hall Street side?
No, not a new door. We just replace the existing door that the car hit.
Was that like the bulkhead?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, because when I went over there, it looked like it was a brand-new door.
No,
It
that's.
is brand new because you
Yeah,
fixed it.
in the back, in the back. The one in the front is proposed, there's no, they didn't
It's not,
build
yeah,
one there.
we haven't done anything yet.
The back one was replaced, because that's what the car hit the bulkhead. When it hit the bulkhead, it tore apart the stairs, and then it hit the decks that was right behind it.
Okay. All right, board members, any other questions? Everybody good? I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. I'm going to open up. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor? Seeing none, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone in here that wants to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there any public official that wants to be heard on the issue? Seeing none, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. That concludes the public discussion. I'm now going to open it up for discussion among the board members. Board members.
I think it's, this board hasn't really approved too many apartments in the basement. I'm sure the chief will speak more on that. It's a tough approval process for that. I don't like the way it opens up the longest part of the property line and makes it all parking on our, it's an intersection with a light. There are a lot of things that make it a difficult request.
I agree, the lot size is far too small for what they're looking to do. And they haven't expressed a hardship for the property itself. Yeah, like I said, I think it's far too small of a lot for what they're looking to do.
I think, you know, everyone knows my view on basement apartments. They put the life safety of the resident in great danger, no matter what. They put the life safety of my members in jeopardy. To hear 5 feet to try to pull yourself up through a 42-inch window for an elderly woman, I mean, I find that, you know, quite negligent on this entire process. So that's my feeling on this. I think everyone knows how I feel about basement apartments. I don't think anything ever good comes of them. So I mean, clearly this is not something that I find to be anywhere near doable in the city of Brockton. It makes the residents and the members of any public safety agency, puts them in greater danger than they need to be.
I didn't see any hardship that was demonstrated on this at all. Other than that, I understand that he wants to bring his family and put the family together in the house. But again, my concern is a 4-family on that small lot. We are opening up the possibility that we could have a large apartment house sitting on a very tiny lot. And I am not happy about the cars backing out on a Hall Street. I think that's a dangerous situation. So I have concerns of it myself.
Motion to grant.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to grant. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Leanis.
No.
Mr. Spinola.
No.
Mr. Sweeney.
No.
Chief Nardelli.
No.
Chair Galligan.
No.
Chair, that is 5 in the negative, none in the affirmative.
The vote is 0 in the affirmative, 5 in the negative. The petition is denied.
All right, thank you, guys. Thank you.
The next petition is 2269, which was 446 East Ashland Street. That petition has been withdrawn. The next petition is 2270, the petition of Elevation Incorporated, 68 Huffington Avenue, Brockton, Mass., for a special permit from Article 3, Section 27, 24, Subsection 4, on adult use marijuana to operate a marijuana establishment for retail sale in this building in a C3 zone located 156 to 160 Main Street. Good evening. Good evening.
Chairman, nice to see you. Good evening to the board. My name is Jim Valeriani, an address of 100 State Street for our offices in Boston, 02109. With me is Victor Texera and Jose Andrade, the owners of Elevation. And John, what's your last name? D'Souza of North County Group. That's the engineering firm that prepared.
What is it, North County?
North County Group out of Taunton. They prepared our site plan and our architectural drawings for this petition. Now, this Elevation has been pursuing this location since April of 2020. That's when they first started working with the city, did their community outreach meeting. You know, I know you've had 2 long nights back to back, but this is our 3rd time in front of this board, and we're going to do our best to seek
We
an
got
approval.
all the time in the world.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So in November of 2020, the company obtained a special permit to go on the 2nd floor of this building. At that time, that is what the zoning required. They required no retail in the C3 zone be located on the ground floor. We received that special permit by a vote of 4-1 by the Board of Appeals at that time. We received our special site plan review approval, which is good for 2 years, in January of 2021. And time went by. In April of 21, they received their license from the City Council to operate at that location. Now, 2 other companies nearby, outside of the 500-foot buffer on Pleasant and down further down Main, were able to locate on the ground floor. We had found that to be a competitive disadvantage. We had wished we could have gone on that ground floor. So in December of 2021, we came before this board and we sought a variance. It was sort of a use variance, I would say, which the ordinance allows. We had indicated that we were at a competitive disadvantage, that the building was designed for retail on the 1st floor, and that being on the 2nd floor was not ideal, and we would lose customers and business would be jeopardized. We lost that variance petition by a vote of 3-2. It was cited that we didn't establish the financial hardship, and that the City Council had required retail to be not on the ground floor, and this board didn't feel that they could stray from the ordinance. So that was disappointing, but a few months later, a petition was filed by, I believe, Councilor Rodriguez with the City Council to amend the zoning to allow retail on the ground floor in the C3 district. That was filed in January. At the City Council Ordinance Committee meeting in February, it had a unanimous favorable recommendation. The applicants were at that meeting and spoke. They made the same case that I'm making here tonight about their feeling of being at a disadvantage. And the Ordinance Committee agreed. Several councilors spoke that, yeah, you are at a disadvantage. We don't even know why we established an ordinance in the first place to require you to be not on the ground floor. And in March, they received, the zoning amendment received a unanimous approval to pass to allow retail on the 1st floor, 10 votes to 0. And one of those votes was by the ward councilor, Councilor Rivera. And so we filed a special permit soon after to pursue our 1st floor location. Now, the plans haven't changed from what we presented during the variance proceeding. Well, I should add, we have one change that we'd like to present to the board this evening. It has to do with the sign that we're proposing on the front of the building. That was not shown on the plans that we submitted when we first filed last month. Would the chairman allow us to provide that to the board members? Yep. Do you want to distribute those, John, please? So we think the sign is well done. I know the planning board had requested that the signage, the awnings, there's an old sign structure that is not being used, all of that be cleaned up, removed. And we agreed to that. We agreed to it with our special permit when it was first issued for the 2nd floor. So we think the sign we're presenting does a good job. You know, with the downtown redevelopment, they are seeking revitalization of the downtown. looking for retail, restaurants, what have you, and we think that this fits with that downtown redevelopment plan. Our first floor space would be a little over 1,800 square feet. We did get Captain LaFrance's approval of the security plan. There have been no changes to the process for that at the police department. John can talk a little about the floor layout if requested. It is ADA compliant. It takes up about half of the space of the Protantis Plaza building, and it is certainly the location it should be for a retail establishment. The entry, there'll be a single entryway which will split into an entry and exit into a security and queuing area. The customers will go in, see displays and point of sale locations, and then they'll exit out a separate door and then out the common entry door, and that is permissible under the cannabis regulations. As we discussed in the past, in the C3 zone, you don't need any parking. So we don't have any. This building takes up the entire lot, as we've said before. Employees can park at the garage. There'll be approximately 8 to 10 employees, maybe 12 in total, but on site there might be 5 with 1 or 2 security guards. So employees can park at the downtown garage. Patrons can park over at the School Street parking lot or on street. There's parking, metered parking on Main and that other crossing street, I can't recall which it is, up by the courthouse, West Elm. So there are no schools within 500 feet. We've confirmed that. We've redated the plans. No other marijuana establishments within that area. We see no impact to the city municipal services, no new infrastructure, no new utilities. We think the vast majority of our patrons will be pedestrians walking by or who have parked to do other business downtown, and they may, patronize the shop. We see no traffic impact whatsoever. With respect to odor, that's typically a concern with cultivation and manufacturing facilities, not with retail. The retail product is sealed completely, and when it enters the store and when it leaves the store in a second sealed bag. So air purifiers are typically installed at a retail location. And finally, what else did I want to mention? Whatever it was, I do not believe, let me see what that was.
I think one of the things you need to mention is the change in the hours.
Oh, from the 8 to 10. Yes, that was, I did forget to mention that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The City Council did pass that amendment as well and would seek those hours as well. What I wanted to mention is the delivery of product. The cannabis regulations do not require on-site parking for the delivery of product to these stores. Many banks, jewelry stores, check cashing operations, other high-end retail stores with no parking are situated in downtown areas all the time, and that would be our situation. Security would be, the security for the deliveries is done, so there's a radio communication, it's done randomly, and the delivery companies have cameras with them, and they could easily pull up in front of the building, park at the garage, park at School Street. It's not a problem, locked cases with security, and that's not a concern of ours, and obviously not for the police. So, do you guys have anything else you'd like to mention? I mean, we've been at this again for 2 years, and there's a total of 14 licenses that were available. I think 12 were issued, and only 8, was it 8 you guys think were underway, or?
Well, 8 is already given.
8. So there's no more licenses that we know being issued. And we're hoping we can get this license, this special permit tonight and move ahead, and we've been working at this for quite some time. So I'm happy to answer any questions, certainly.
Very good. Any questions from board members?
I got a question about the sign. Is this a lit sign, or is it lettered or printed?
Well, I can tell you, it will meet the, that's a good question. It will meet the signage requirements if lighting is allowable. I think it may be. Do you think you'll need lighting on the sign? I mean, I think
It'll end up being a backlit, so it won't It's not like a neon light or LED or anything, it's just a backlit sign.
And do you have any plans for lighting? Because the building definitely needs some sprucing up.
Yeah, the building needs some sprucing up, so we showed a new band with a sign that's going there. We're still seeking some permission from the owner to remove the old bracket sign that comes out perpendicular from the building. The awnings need to be replaced too. We're looking to replace the buildings up in the front, and we'll probably add some like uplighting on the building as well, just to brighten it up a little bit.
I guess maybe I'll interject right there. I think you have an opportunity with this location being on our main street. I would suggest and maybe even stipulate that your lighting on the building maybe match the Sycamore building, where it's
Okay.
similar lighting, similar wattage. I think you have an opportunity there, not only on the Main Street side, but also on the East Elm Street as well, because you're gonna get that traffic, and traffic is gonna see the building on that side.
Yeah, we certainly want the entire building to look fine and attractive if we're going in there with this type of an operation. So thank you. We're happy to have that as a condition.
When I just looked at this picture of the sign, I got a little confused. I thought the store was going to be to the left and the sign is to the right. So just to make sure I understand this, the store is going to be on the left side of the building, but the sign will be to the right side because of where the door is.
Exactly. I had the same confusion. I asked them while I was sitting down, you get the sign in the wrong place, and they said, no, it's where it's supposed to be. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So hopefully that sign that's hanging off the side of the building will be gone.
I think it needs to be. I think it's lost its any grandfathering status it may have had. There's been no sign there for quite some time. And
I believe the city has some kind of regulations, ordinance, or whatever that's regulating the type of signs that can be put on the front of buildings downtown. At least there's some guidance on what can be done. So I know I would defer to whatever they think would be an appropriate one. I have gone through this thing with a fine-tooth comb, and I believe that all of the mandates that they're required to meet, they have met. The biggest stickling point was the no retail on the ground floor, and the city council has finally addressed that, and they are now allowing that, which opened up or solved quite a large problem. So I am comfortable that what they're proposing tonight, which is a brand-new hearing, it's not a massage of what you received in the past. Tonight is a brand-new hearing based upon this first-floor location. So when you look at the regulations and the mandates that you have to conform to, I believe that you've met those. So
yes, the building inspector, Mr. Plouffe, indicated it had to be a brand-new application.
yes.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions from the board members?
I would just, in this instance, just reiterate what a wise man said is perception is reality. So this is Main Street. We really, really want this building to look nice. And again, you have an opportunity to do that in a strategic location in our city, so.
Yes, and we will do that, but we welcome a condition along those lines if you'd like to formalize it in a decision, certainly.
So there was mention here of decorative exterior lighting. I can make that a stipulation that there shall be decorative exterior lighting on the west and the south side of the building and leave it at that. But I think the petitioner probably understands the feeling of the board of what is being suggested.
You could easily find out how they did the Sycamore and that, what they used, how they went about it. But to have some symmetry between buildings that are so close in proximity.
Okay.
I don't want to get very specific on it, but I think there's a good understanding.
Good suggestion of where to go and how to do it.
We understand that.
Okay.
We certainly do, and we appreciate those comments, and we look forward to making that happen.
And as far as the hours are concerned, if this is granted, I will probably put in my narrative that the hours shall be in conformance with the ordinance or mandates of the city ordinances as far as recreational marijuana. That, if we specifically put hours in, and then they get changed again, you're gonna have to come back before us.
Okay.
So if I put it in as in conformance with the city ordinance, rules and regulations for that sale, it gives you some wiggle room.
It does, and I appreciate that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Everybody good? All right, I'm gonna close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor? Seeing none, I'm going to ask, is there anyone here that wants to speak in opposition? And I do have a letter in opposition. I am writing to you against the petition for a special permit from Article 3, Section 2724-4 on adult use marijuana to operate a marijuana establishment for retail sale in this building in a C3 zone located 156 to 160 Main Street. This was supposed to be on the second floor. The retail sales were not supposed to be on the first floors. The original application was on the second floor, and all the filings were in compliance with the requirements. Now they are attempting to move to the first floor without refiling all the required documents for a change of space. This person is misinformed that two things have happened here. First of all, the city has rewritten the ordinance that does allow them to be on the first floor in a C3 zone. And secondly, this is a brand-new hearing based upon the location of the first floor.
Yes.
So I just want to read that into the record. All right, anybody else here in opposition? Seeing none, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there any elected official that wants to be heard on the issue? Seeing none, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. That concludes the public hearing. I'll now open it up to board members for discussion. Board members.
I'm glad they made that change. The city council made that change and gives them an even playing field to, you know, to sell their product. So with an opportunity to improve, a bit of an aesthetically improved a building. So been a long road for you guys.
Thank you.
On this suggestion for this elevation dispensary, I would hope that this would be in compliance with what the city is recommending for stores on Main Street. Do you know if it is?
I don't, whatever those requirements are, whether they're part of the redevelopment plan or in the ordinance, we'll comply. We have to comply. I mean, if we get a special permit here tonight, that does not mean we can go and do whatever we want based on our success here tonight.
Well, you know, I think that's a good understanding to have.
Yes.
We don't seem to have a problem with the sign.
Yes.
But if there is a problem, I would appreciate it if you would conform to what is suggested or required. I'm not quite sure how that goes, but there is some conformity of signs along Main Street.
There is indeed.
Keep that in mind.
We will. I'll ensure that we do. Thank you.
Motion to approve with lighting stipulation?
Second.
Motion has been made and second with the stipulation for the decorative exterior lighting. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Lianis.
Yes.
Mr. Spinola.
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney.
Yes.
Chief Nardelli.
Yes.
Chair Galligan.
Yes.
Chair, that is 5 in the affirmative, none in the negative.
Thank
Vote
you.
is 5 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The petition is granted.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, board members. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you. Good luck. I don't have any more on my list.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion's been made to adjourn. The meeting is adjourned.